Peace. Damn. Damn. Happy now. And now is the fine. I tried to switch it up. I was trying to think of some way to switch it up as I was doing. Now it's the vibrate, y'all. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past, of course, of course. Uh, First little quick Q&A video. Matter of fact, just want to, since I accumulated three quick little questions. Matter of fact, one is somewhat of a question, and another two is somewhat of just asking to touch on a certain subject, which I'm, kind of just dabble in each one and dealing with this Q&A situation sometimes, which with one of these questions, I'm not well versed in the situation where, it's kind of like my first time hearing about it, but I want to speak on it because it's, something that's real interesting. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, deal with, you know. But one question where somebody asked me, what's the spinal cord correspondence with spirituality? What's the importance of the spinal cord with spirituality? And well, I could think of, just a few things, not to go too in depth, because matter of fact, I do have older videos that do go more in depth, but your spinal cord is where the chakras are located. Matter of fact, and that's also dealing with the foundation, like our bone structure deals with the foundation of our physical. That's where you get like with Saturn being Satan and, you know, like in Capricorn deals with Saturn and the Capricorn deals with the bones and the knees, that foundation, that structure, what I'm saying, of our physical essence, That's why the Masons deal with that too, and the Masons have the 33 degrees of masonry, and you got 33 actual discs in your spinal column, going up the spine. And that's why that importance of the number 33, because when you do gematria and stuff like that, where gematria, the name of Jesus, and all these different things that add up to 33. And then you look at Jesus or Christ, dealing with the spine, where you got that Christ seed, that Christ all, what I'm saying, that Christos all at the base of the spine, in that root chakra, in the manger, what I'm saying, in that manger where Christ was born, in the manger, got nothing but animals, you know, uh shitting everywhere, like in the personification of, being in the root chakra, around animals, our lowest form of, being, and that's where, the Christ seed was in the manger, born in the manger. So that's where that Christ seed all is born at the base of our spine, at the root chakra, and when you get that breathing right, that air, the god of air dealing with the Kemetic and Egyptian mythology, is Shu, you know, Yeshua, Jesus, Yeshua, and then Jesus' name come from other things too, because it's Jupiter and Zeus, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, but that energy, when you let that Shu, that air, breathe in, it rises that all up the spine, and up to the medulla, where the ida and the pingala, that's another thing dealing with your spine. You got the sushumna going up the middle of the spine, then you got the ida and the pingala, the masculine and feminine, negative and positive energies that flow up the spine. And when you do your breathing, it the ida and pingala, where it crosses the medulla, that's where that energy is crucified in essence, you know what I'm saying? When it gets to the medulla, you know what I'm saying, and then it secretes the pineal gland, it, and you get the resurrection and the descent story of Jesus dealing with the spine of the Christ all rising up and down the spine, where you basically, it raises up and is seated at the right hand of the Father, the pineal gland, the seat of the soul, so it secretes that all onto the pineal gland, and that's the raising of the Christ, you know what I'm saying? Raising Christ, dying the crucifixion, matter of fact, of the cross, other than standing for other things like two phalluses and like your physical being, you know what I'm saying? But that cross of, going of leaving that physical being, crucified, or leaving that attachment to that physical being and going to that higher, ascended level, you know what I'm saying? That's why they got the pictures of Christ holding the heart through the heart, you were raised up, you know what I'm saying? Also, there's also dealing with the spine and these different energies, these are where the chakras are located. So also as we're doing those types of breathing, uh, along with the Christ seed, you got just excuse me, chi and pranic energy too, moving and helping spin those chakras, because also it helps your Merkaba spin also, and also dealing with your spine. You got a pranic tube, you know, going from out the top, you know what I'm saying? You could say, some people say crown chakra or the fontanelle. The fontanelle is the little, as we remember, are dealing with babies or as babies, we have like that little hole in our, in the top of the skull that is said where the soul enters the body, and in our beginning stages also. But yeah, you have a chronic tube that raises, and goes out the spine, goes to the bottom, anchoring into mama matrix, But that's pretty much, the significance of it is just that everything is, like in some of your most powerful nerves, because a lot of things deal with your nerves too. So that's why, the spinal cord is corresponds in spirituality also, because the story of anything dealing with trees, like where Adam and Eve dealing with being eaten from the tree of knowledge or the tree of life and this and that, and where picture like our nerves in our body, they branch out like little trees, you know. So and our spinal cord is one of the main, you know what I'm saying? Because matter of fact, that's another thing where our sciatic nerve runs from our heel of our foot. It's the longest nerve in our body. Run from the heel of our foot all the way up to our medulla area to the brain stem. So it travels up the spine, So that spine just is a connection point for a lot of important nerves in the body. A lot of important nerves, you know, deal with the flow of energy in our body, and a lot of the flow of energy is a lot of spiritual, you know what I'm saying, from the nadis, that's all connected dealing with your nerves and the trees in your body, the tree of life. Because matter of fact, I don't have a diagram with me now, but like where I show like the upside down body, where I show the body, with nerves branching off and showing like where right here, the branches from the pineal, gland, the seat of the soul, was quote unquote where, Adam and Eve was, and then they went down to the genital area, and we got nerves down there in our sexual area, because that was the thing too with the story of Adam and Eve, as far as like the analogy behind of you could eat of any fruits and all other stuff. For this one, like it was like you could indulge in any of your other like senses, for lack of a better word, all the other little branches of your nerves, dealing in other areas you could deal with, but this sexual tree, you know what I'm saying? Stay away from it. So it's also that analogy with the trees, but that stems down from dealing with the spine, because the spine, has a lot of important nerves running through it also. But that's basically it on the spinal cord correspondence, with spirituality. Like I said, I got videos that really, also get down into it. And also next, somebody brought up, which is something I ain't gonna say I wouldn't necessarily be able to dive too deep into, but just to speak on it, one of the somebody brought up about mushroom doses. Like what's the proper doses and the effects of certain doses, things of this nature. From my own experience, and then too with the history of mushrooms, where mushrooms are known to, like in small doses, if you eat mushrooms, like it could give you it heightens your seeing, and it also just heightens your sense of like analytics. It basically just gives you like a boost, like from your brain, analytical abilities, your eyesight, more in essence, heighten your senses. As a matter of fact, this was the building, like this how civilizations got built in some cases where, the people, the tribes that had more of a accumulation of mushrooms, they were, the more lucrative, more advanced tribe, so to speak, for lack of a better word, because they were, advancing themselves, getting keen eyesight and this and that. So that mean they will be able to hunt better and do different things better and think and analyze better. So, the group of people with the abundance of mushrooms, who had the more mushrooms, had the more, advanced civilization, so to speak you know, and a matter of fact, your pre-system come from that too, because as we starting off, dealing with mushrooms, we all taking them like, we just nomads, just we got our little group traveling different places. We taking them, then bam, as our group get bigger and we advance more, our eyesight get better, this and that. We start hunting. We build us a nice little place, a little civilization. But all right, now as we building things, now we all can't be taking the mushrooms now, 'cause somebody gotta till the land, somebody gotta be the the steel mason or whatever you call it, you know, uh, just all different trades. Everybody gotta take care of the different trades in the in the village. And so now it's like, all right, well, we need somebody still to take, the mushroom and let us know what source talking about. And that's where the priesthood come about. Because then, we like, all right, well, say so and so, you take the mushroom, and while we work do this, you tell us, and we compensate since you not working and, you don't do nothing to accumulate funds. We let we'll let the situation of you talking to God accumulate funds, because since you taking the time to do that, so all right, cool, and you know, they assign somebody, take the shrooms, they're like, all right, so it said it's gonna rain for 3 days in the next 2 weeks, so let's plant this, do this, and put this out there, and then the people in the tribe they bring the quote unquote now priest, a gift of a goat, and then that ego of that man, you know what I'm saying, start to kick in, and he like, you know what? Even though Source said to do this and that, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and make them think it's gonna rain a little longer, and I'm gonna tell them bring me 5 goats instead of two, and that's where the corruptness get into it, starting from way back when. But back to the I had to get over right now. Back to the simplicity of the dealing with mushrooms. I know in most cases, with myself, in which I would never really like. Oh, well, let me see if I'm taking 1.5 grams or 1 gram of mushrooms. Let me, precisely. You know, I would have like an eighth of mushrooms, and probably take. If I really wanted to go in, like probably like something around what you would call like in between 1.5 and 2 grams, I think. That's what I would say. And then it all depends on, the intensity of what you want. Do you really want to go into that realm and, not even, because in some cases, like, all right, perfect example. Sometimes I want to just be able to tap into those other realms, but like I want to write down in my journal what I'm experiencing and articulating as I go. Then I'm not gonna take so much of a high dose, because if the dose too high, you ain't even gonna be able to write. You just gonna want to lay down and like and laugh at the little fairies that's talking to you, and You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna be able to really, to each his own. Though maybe some people could write through high dosages. I know me and my experience, it gets a little overwhelming. And two, I'm a person where dealing with any of that, it's pointless to take something like that and fight the feeling, that you're supposed to be allowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna take something that I'm supposed to lay down and let energy flow. I'm not gonna take that and then say, oh, let's go run a marathon. Or I'm gonna take some mushroom and like, all right, take a high dosage and try to, like, and override. Unless, like I say, low dosages, or if I'm channeling something that, needs to be channeled. But you know, I don't do nothing like that and then do something that doesn't allow for that energy to flow. Matter of fact, that's why with mushroom or psychedelics in general or DMT for sure, where when you go to overthinking or doing too much, if you feel like nauseating and like you're blocking something, it's because it's not meant. It's meant for you to go with the flow and not be questioning everything. You know what I'm saying? Or not be doing too much. But I definitely do realize and acknowledge that, different dosages you could use for different little things. Like if you want to, like just enough to go out and function, you know what I'm saying? But still kind of get like little insights where your channeling abilities are heightened just, just a tad bit. So you're not like loosey goosey out there, but because another thing mushrooms do too, it amplifies, the way you feel vibrations, like you feel the truthfulness of vibrations, so you feel what other people and this at least for me in my experience, I could feel what other people thinking and feeling very strongly, and it makes like if my dose is too high and I go around people, I'm end up telling the truth. You know how they got the brutal truth, but then you got truth that's just so true it almost don't need to be said in public. Like it's just so true. Like, oh, you just a soul that's yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you just get deep into, and it's like so when I take, for me personally, if it's a high dosage, I wouldn't be able to go around just anybody or any situation because I'm gonna speak on the truthfulness of the situation, also because you're connected with spirit and that lack of ego, you're not caring about, matter of fact, you care about being spiritually true, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I actually feeling? But, yeah, it definitely has a variance in dosages. But as far as like suggesting, because matter of fact, I'm not no doctor, I don't, matter of fact, and these magic mushrooms just fall out the sky anyway. That's how I get them. Anyway, but, I don't. I'm not the expert in essence dealing with what exact dosages for this and that, but I can say to each his own. But two around 2 grams is kind of like the place where I kind of really like to go and really experience. I really like to go there, but like I say, sometimes I might take just like a bite off a stem about this big, just something a little small to kind of, give me the flow. But it all depends on the strength of the mushrooms also, because if they real potent, and a small piece might, might take you further than you want to go, So you got to know what you're dealing with also, dealing with that. But, you know, but that's basically my assessment on that, and just be careful with dealing with mushrooms too, man. Just don't deal with any kind of mushroom. Know what you're dealing with. That's all I'm gonna say. Know what you're dealing with. Or feel your intuition. Like if you don't know on a human level, at least like, go with that voice inside your head. If that voice inside your head say, nah, don't deal with that, then don't deal with it. That voice smarter than you. It's smarter than your humanity. So listen to it. But, all right, but basically that's it on the mushroom doses. I hope I added some type of insight to that situation. And then lastly, I say this one for last because this is the situation I was talking about where it's new to me. I don't really, have no, but which I resonated with the situation somewhat because I felt like this happened to me before. But the last situation is talking about yeah, somebody asked me about exploding head syndrome. Dealing with sleep paralysis. They call it EHS. You know what I'm saying? But it's basically like you experience it when you're sleeping. It's like a loud noise, like a bomb or something going off, like blah. You know what I'm saying? You come out of your sleep and you like, oh, anxious, and you know what I'm saying? And I've heard different situations of it as far as like some people, feel it consciously, as they're going into sleep paralysis or just at a certain point in sleep, it could feel their head swelling up, and then all of a sudden noise would just come. And then I saw some experience some people spoke on where they would just be within their sleep and they would just, you know, then and then having them in that sleep paralysis mode also, like as it goes off. But I've heard different situations about it, and it says like a loud sound followed by a flash of light, muscle spasm, anxiety, increased heart rate, and shortness in breath. So, that's some of the symptoms some of you may have experienced. Matter of fact, speaking on myself, I remember like one night, like, sleeping and being just like, well, like somebody had set off like a loud bomb or noise or something like, and it was almost in that essence of where I knew not to walk around or like to ask everybody around me if they heard it, especially because nobody else was really, like seemed to hear it. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty weird. But it only happened to me one time that I could recall. But that's why I figured, to do the video because I'm like, all right, it did happen to me once, and I'm pretty sure, because it has so much studies and they analyzing it so much, then it must have some, some type of resonance and some truth to it, wherever a bunch of people experiencing it on that level, you know. As a matter of fact, I think they said it discovered in 1870. It was first, talked about and brought up for the first time, you know. But as far as my own experience, I only, you know, and only seem to have experienced it once. You know what I'm saying, with my own situation. So I don't necessarily, I'm not well versed in the remedies or how to handle a situation, but like I said, I want to bring it up just to deal with it because also I'm familiar with sleep paralysis or sleep paralysis. Matter of fact, back home in Louisiana, that Creole shad, the French, the shad and the mixing of French with the regular talk shad. But they got the folklore of what they call Kushma. And Kushma is basically it's the story of sleep paralysis, but they called it a little baby sitting on your chest, and it's like Kushma, the little baby, that little baby gonna sit on your chest, so and it's like like when you get in that sleep paralysis mode, if most of y'all unfamiliar, it's kind of like where your body and your mind consciousness is a little off. Where you become aware of being in your body, like almost like part of your conscious comes to your body before the fullness comes back. So you kind of there, but you like trying to move and you're telling your brain to move. Matter of fact, and I'm jerking like this because this how strong you're telling yourself to move and nothing is happening. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, matter of fact, it is the personification. Honestly, sleep paralysis. I would assume, when I say assume, but I could say it seems like it would be the same, probably without that type of pain if pain come with it. But like the pausing from a puffer fish, like where it could give you the type of paralysis where you conscious and you are there. You're fully conscious, but you can't move anything. You know what I'm saying? You probably like sitting there like trying to tell your brain to move everything and just nothing is happening. But that's basis of sleep paralysis, and it happens like when we in that, that transit in between lucid dreaming and coming back, you know what I'm saying, or vice versa, or leaving from the body going into a lucid dream. Because I actually had the sleep paralysis feeling come through whenever I tried my first manual out of body experience, where I actually manually, performed the out of body experience. And basically, as I was getting my body to, or my astral body to rise out of my physical body, my body got scared, you know what I'm saying? Like my physical body felt like, oh no, like feel like we dying or something, like where the astral body going? And then it kind of just nerved me up, and I wasn't far enough out the body, so it kind of pulled me back in, you know what I'm saying? And kind of had me in the little sleep paralysis for a small moment, not long, but the exploding head syndrome is is a pretty interesting situation. Intuitively, if I had to give some insight on what I, feel, in fact, intuitive, let me, clear that mind, you know, as far as like what I would think, it's almost like maybe something firing off, just like in sleep paralysis, where, the consciousness and the physical body, like, they missing the little connection, so it's kind of leaving you in this little limbo mode or whatever. I'm guessing maybe like the cells or, neurons or something just kind of like has a certain type of explosion or something when we do something, some type of connection. I don't really. I just feel like though, if anything, we'll have to deal with, some type of neuron synapses, being overwhelmed, or like something being overwhelmed dealing with the neurons in your brain. Because if it's an exploding head, the only thing I could think of dealing with, a loud sound and flash of light, it make me think of lightning and thunder, a loud sound, thunder, and a flash of light. And that's as above, so below. That's also how electricity, flow within the brain. So that would just bring me to believe that it would be some type of electrical, you know, situation with the neurons, where it's just some type of overwhelming of energy or electricity, at a certain point that just fires off and just, creates a loud explosion and a flash of light that, which we call the exploding head syndrome. But that's the most I could, give on the situation. When I say I, like I say, I try these days, most things not coming from Carl Ray, you know what I'm saying? Is I'm just a vessel, so for the most part is, trying to let energy flow from, not say try, letting energy flow from a higher realms and higher places. But I hope I, touched on the subjects and, covered them to the best of your liking. And I know I can't please everybody on every subject with every situation, but at least for the people who, you know who you are, who brought up these questions and these things to talk about. I hope I at least touched on them enough. But because, like I say, with some things too, that's why I said when I brought up the Q&A that I won't, for one, I won't be redundant, so I'm not gonna go over anything that I did like a 25-minute video on just that. Like, oh no, I put too much time and work into that 25-minute video. You gotta go check out the 25-minute video. But if you ask me, like, certain questions, you know, where I may not be well versed on the information because I'm not the biggest astrologist. I'm not, it's certain things where I'm learning, and even with learning and maybe knowing a little bit, I'm still getting there. So, but I still may try to, still may touch on the subject, even though I may not be the best or, most knowledgeable person on the situation, because I know in most cases with a lot of Q&As, sometimes it's just good to hear different perspectives, like to hear, what through the flow of energy that flow through my being, what what my being feels about the situation, you know. That's how we build, you know what I'm saying? Also, that's why I thought about the Q&A, you know, because I know that's an important way for us to help build is throwing questions out there and be like, all right, well, you know, I experienced this when dealing with this, and you know, when I experienced this with dealing with this, and well, I researched this and I saw that this fact and this fact here, you know, so it allows for a building situation. But no, that's basically it for the Q&A session. Like I said, it was only like three what you could say, quote unquote questions, you know, or subjects to touch on. But thank y'all for, you know, for sending in the matter of fact, and again, if you got the any questions, you know, for the Q&A section, send them to my email, epiclifestyles@gmail. And that's EPIKLIFESTYLEZ @gmail.com. So, you know, send all your questions. I know some of y'all not gonna listen and still hit up my DMs and all that. Which is, you know, I'ma say it's cool, but firstly, you know, and foremost, the people that send it to my emails are the ones that I'ma really consider first. And nor does that mean that just because you did it, like I say, you know, it gotta be something that's, you know, worth, you know, making a video and putting into the Q&A section, you know. So, but yes, just send me emails and we'll start having more and more of these Q&A videos, you know. Because like I said, it's just we build off of, you know, our different perspectives, you know, learning and hearing different perspectives from each other, you know, or hearing different, you know, like facts. Like it might be one fact to the situation that I learned, but you learned some facts on some other parts to the same knowledge, and then you learned some facts on some other, you know, that's how we bring it together. But peace, happy now. Now it's the vibrate. I wouldn't. I took that deep breath in. I didn't feel it. Now it's the vibrate. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now, I did patty cakes out. Right now. Peace, y'all.